everyone, and welcome to the special broadcast. I'm coming to you live from Parliament. In fact, very close to Parliament of India. This is Vijay Chowk. And inside Parliament, around 12 noon is when the discussion on the contentious Waqf Amendment Bill 2024 will begin. The 25 recommendations or 25 amendments which have been suggested are the recommendations of the Joint Parliamentary Committee, which was formed when the bill was first tabled in August of 2024. The government on its part has prepared a list of 11 speakers. The opposition also will be participating in the discussion, so that will be the good part of it, because if there are pros and cons of this bill, it is a subject of discussion and we should know about it. The view certainly is, the government says that it is the intentions are right, and that this is the bill which is the need of the hour because it will ensure reforms in the Waqf board. It's the functioning of the Waqf board and the administration of the Waqf board which needs those reforms. On the part of the opposition which is opposing it, is it politics or policy? That is what we will be discussing on this broadcast. I have Tushar Gupta right here with me, political analyst. We also have Aarti Jairath joining us. We'll be joined by other guests in just a bit. But Tushar, beginning with you, the question really is that is this an opposition to a policy or is this pure politics? But let's not forget that if it is about policy, then shouldn't TDP and also Nitish Kumar's JDU have opposed it as well? Because both these parties have captive minority audiences in their respective states.
Well, look, we have to understand this is a political opposition to a very important policy. TDP and JDU, they are in the NDA camp. That does dent their minority vote to a certain extent. But then again, TDP at least doesn't have an election to look forward to immediately. And JDU, if we are being realistic here in Bihar, would expect that the minority votes will first go to, say, an OAC or a Congress or an RJD before it comes to them. But if we talk about the policy, Maria, I really hope there is a dispassionate discussion on the policy minus the politics, because it addresses several issues that impact Muslims as well. I do not want the discussion around Waqf to be reduced to a tempered tantrum where it makes someone makes it about a mosque or the places of worship or someone's right to follow their religion or profess their religion. It's far more. If you look at the history of Waqf in India, starting 1810 with the British Raj, then you come to 1954 when the first Post-Independence Act was drafted around the Waqf, the 1995 Act, which will be referred to as the Principal Act in the new bill, and then the amendments of 2013. There are a lot of issues that need to be addressed one by one, and I would hope that the alliance parties look at these issues rather than looking at the overall political picture. It's tempting, yes, everyone wants to look at the political capital of a policy, but at this moment, it's important to look at the policy. The mistake we made during CAB, the Citizenship Amendment Bill, shouldn't be made with Waqf. That's my only hope.
That is the point well taken here. Let me bring in Ali, who's joining us of the BJP. We also have Aarti Jairath. Aarti Jairath, there are certain clauses of the bill which are contentious. 25 amendments have been incorporated in this new draft bill, which has been put up, which has been circulated among the MPs. There are certain provisions which need clarity, perhaps more discussion, and that is what the Parliament is expected to do. But invariably, it could be reduced to the binaries of it being anti-Muslim, intrusive to the rights of the Muslims, and that's where I think the problem will be.
Good morning, Maria. Can I come in? It's for me.
Okay, one moment. Maria, let's listen in to what Akhilesh Yadav, Samajwadi Party Supremo, is saying.
उत्तर प्रदेश में हम लोगों ने देखा, आपने भी वो खबरें चलाई थी कि एक ही रात में 15 मिनट में कितना मुनाफा हो गया था। कोई चीज़ 2 करोड़ की थी, 16-17 करोड़ की बिक गई थी। रेलवे, डिफेंस, सबसे ज़्यादा ज़मीन है इनके पास। रेलवे को बेचा इन्होंने, डिफेंस की ज़मीनें बिकी हैं, और अब बचा है वक्फ बोर्ड, उसकी भी ज़मीन बेचने की तैयारी है। आगे से दिखावा कुछ और है, ये सब पर्दा है अपनी नाकामियों को छिपाने के लिए। हम लोग उत्तर प्रदेश में देख रहे हैं कई योजनाएं जो प्रधानमंत्री जी ने शुरू की थी, वो आज भी पूरी नहीं हैं। कभी अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी के नाम पर मेडिकल यूनिवर्सिटी बनाई गई थी, जो मेडिकल यूनिवर्सिटी बनकर के तैयार हो जाती और बड़े पैमाने पे और लाभ मिलता लोगों को। वो यूनिवर्सिटी नहीं बनी। प्रधानमंत्री से जो एक्सप्रेस वे उद्घाटन कराया गया था बुंदेलखंड, वो जिस दिन से उद्घाटन हुआ है उसके बाद से मेंटेनेंस चल रहा है। और फिर हमारे मुख्यमंत्री तो कहते हैं कि राजनीति हमारा पार्ट टाइम जॉब है, तो दिल्ली वाले हटाते क्यों नहीं ऐसे पार्ट टाइम जॉब वालों को?
So Akhilesh Yadav there making his point and his objections to the bill known now. Mahima is joining us of the Congress. We have Ali from the BJP and also Aarti Jairath joining us. Tushar is right here with me at Vijay Chowk. But before I bring in the politicians, a word from Aarti Jairath. Aarti, that support that has come in, particularly from the TDP and the JDU, is important because, you know, there were certain views that they were expressing outside the parliament, which could have meant trouble for the BJP, but that's not how it will be playing out. It's a united NDA, the entire show of strength, which we will witness in the Lok Sabha today.
Yes, well, I mean, I think the TDP had suggested some amendments which have been incorporated, and that has helped to overcome their objections. You know, Maria, I mean, it's going to be a very stormy debate. I just hope it doesn't degenerate into a tutu meme, which most of these debates do. If they can actually have a sensible debate in which, you know, both sides express their viewpoints clearly, then maybe one can, you know, cut through the, you know, the whole thing and understand what the real issues are. From what I can make out, I think reform is needed. Definitely. I think, you know, it is important to document all these properties. The problem is that there is very little documentation available for most of these properties. And I think that is what the Muslims are fearing, particularly if you include two non-Muslims on the board. You know, over the years, the distrust, the quotient, you know, the distrust between the two communities has grown so much that even when the government is doing something which is badly needed, you know, the Muslims view it through the prism of suspicion. And I think, you know, that's where the problem arises, that, you know, this distrust needs to be overcome. There needs to be a certain level of trust that what is being done is for the larger good. And I think that's where, you know, the trouble really comes from there.
Okay, let me bring in Nazir Masoodi as well, who has gone through certain provisions of this bill, and Nazir has an opinion certainly on this. Nazir, the concept of Waqf starts with the advent of Islam. The role of Waqif or Kaf becomes important as well. Waqf, invariably, Waqf boards have members which are nominated by governments, state governments. So it's not really that you know, a group of Maulvis sit and nominate their own people. So let's get certain facts right here. But the problem here is the functioning of the board, and if there is diversity being included with the representation coming in of the women, of the SCs, STs, then why should there be a problem to it?
Well, what those who are opposing this bill are saying, there should be the same rule for every religious body. Why to just say this rule applies to the Muslim religious bodies, but not anyone else, not any Sikh body, not any Hindu endowment? So if it is a rule, if it is for the welfare, let it be for every religious institutions. So you can't just say Muslims need separate rule. Yes, there has been a problem in running the administration of the Waqf for centuries, not just decades after. But the Waqf has come into being, and the idea long before the nation states came into being. And Muslims have been donating their private personal property, personal assets, and for the welfare of humans, and also for the welfare of the animals as well. That's the idea of the Waqf. And it's a great idea of philanthropy. So larger question is, when there's a government control on this, will people do it in future? Now, there have been certain apprehensions even from the allies of the BJP, for example, TDP, JDU. Some of it government has tried to, you know, address, like one provision which will be inserted in the bill now, which says this that they would be provided that the existing Waqf by the user property registered on or before the commencement of the Waqf Amendment Act 2025 as Waqf by user will remain as Waqf property, except that the property wholly or in part is in dispute or is in garment or is a garment property. So that is the question. So they are saying it would remain as Waqf property before this, if it is a Waqf property before the commencement of this act, but if it's in dispute, wholly or partly, or it's a garment property. But who will decide that? So arbiter has changed. It is now the district collector, which means the government of the day. It is the chief executive who would be appointed, who can be non-Muslim. 2 members can be non-Muslims. So the critics of this bill are saying, if no Hindu endowment can have any Muslim member in it, or chief executive, or any Sikh body, how can this happen with the Muslim, religious body? Now, this is an important thing where it remains very interesting.
Okay.
It appears to be like a Shahbano moment for this case. When you see this proviso, well, it appears that the government is protecting them. But if you see the last word, where it said if it is in dispute or the garment property, it was the same thing when the Shahbano case that was addressed by the Congress tricked actually Muslims. On one hand, they were in confrontation with the rest of the population, but Congress tricked them by saying maintenance should be made and paid within the period of iddat by the former husband of the woman. But it was never further with the iddat period. So that was a big trick. So while the law remained the same, what Supreme Court had decided, but at the same time they tricked Muslims. So it is also same. It is the same thing when they say it is in dispute or it is a government property, but they decide it would be decided by the government. That remains a catchy thing.
All right. Okay, all right, Nazir, thank you so much for that quick analysis on one of the key provisions, which is essentially Waqf by user, which is being abolished in this legislation. But one of the allies of the government, which is the TDP, wanted it to be to ensure that it is not done retrospectively, but it is from this moment when the bill actually becomes a law. Of course, it will become a law only after a gazetted notification is issued post the president's endorsement. Let's bring in Ali Daruwala. Ali, you wanted to make a point. Go ahead, quickly speak, and then I bring in Mahima.
Over here, Nazir was saying that the citizens of the country, over here, the panelists should know and the citizens should know the benefits from the Waqf land or whatever revenue they generate. It has to be only shared by Muslims. This money cannot go to non-Muslims. So in a day and age in India, when you try and make a differentiation like this, differentiate that this money cannot go to any non-Muslim, is very unfair. Me being a Muslim, I have asked for certain questions in all the JPCs and nobody had an answer. Over here, we have such a distinguished panel over here. Got madam over here. I just want to ask one question. In 100 years, I have said, show me one university made by Waqf board. Show me one college, one school, one hospital. Forget hospital, a medical college. One dispensary, a medical dispensary that has been set up by the Waqf board. I will leave this debate right now. 100 years. We have the Congress spokesperson over there. They have given so much shield to this Waqf board. So why couldn't they administer? They had 60 years of power with them. They have not seen that the Waqf, all they have done is they have got the committee within the family. They have sold off the land
the question is,
such
if
hierarchies over here. Show me one masjid made by Waqf board.
Yes, you have made your point, Ali. Yes, you have made your point, Ali. Mahima, come in now. The point here is that Waqf board and its functioning has to be transparent. That is the intent of the government. There are reservations, and rightly so. Like any bill, it is contentious and controversial. But why make it about this bill being anti-Muslim?
Jai Hind. Maria, when you speak of the intent, I am prompted to speak of the action, because intent drives the action, and the action of the government has been to bulldoze the JPC government, JPC committee with its 428-page report. So our questions remain, our critical questions remain so posing the government, and the populace awaits the answer that why did it bulldoze the JPC committee that it had set up itself? Why are the constitutional provisions guaranteed to the minority communities under Article 25 and other articles of the Constitution being diluted deliberately by the government? Why are the authorities depriving the minority communities of their rights that have been guaranteed? Why damage the centuries-old bonds of social harmony? Why demonize the minority communities by spreading false propaganda? And so that is why Rahat Indori Saab says, Maria, कि लगेगी आग तो आएंगे घर कई जद में, यहाँ पे सिर्फ हमारा मकान थोड़ी है. Targeting the Muslim minority community is just the beginning of it. You see, this government has its core intent right from its inception has been to to establish its Hindu Rashtra, to only appease the majority and to sideline, marginalize and kill the minority. And that is what we are seeing through this Waqf bill also that is being brought, which has been brought in a very autocratic manner. Our question is, why is the Waqf by user concept, which was developed by the nation's judiciary on the basis of long, continued and uninterrupted customary usages, being abolished by this government? And in fact, you see the far-reaching powers that are being guaranteed, that are being conferred upon the collector, the state government, another panelist spoke before me about it, are also under the scanner. You know, we doubt the government's intent. You are talking about the intent, and that very intent is under the scanner here. We doubt that intent. The minority communities are feeling threatened. They are feeling that it's going to, as RTG also said earlier, that most of these properties are undocumented. So you see, the government has built its strategy step by step to sabotage the interest of minorities, and that is what we see in the actions of the government of the day. We shall continue to question the same.
Okay, so you are saying that the interest of the minorities is being sabotaged, but my question or counter would be that how is it being sabotaged if a board is being ensured that there will be a regulator to ensure that the entire digitization process happens, if there will be that there would be checks and balances? How is that really an issue here? Mahima, you respond to that, and then I bring in Ali.
Maria, allow me a small response before you move on to the other panelists. You see, do you really believe this government that contempts the Supreme Court, that is guilty of contempt of the Supreme Court in its bulldozer action? The same intent of bulldozing the consensus is being exhibited through this bill. And that is what we are questioning. You are saying that they will go by what they are writing. We say that the writing is to be read between the lines, because this government's intent lies there. You see the way they are targeting the minority communities. Are we bringing such regulations for the rest of the religions also? As I said earlier, Muslim minority community is just the tip of the iceberg. What lies beneath is much more dangerous. They are going to target minorities, SCs, STs, you see, tribes. We have always known how this government wants to bulldoze the UCC over the nation also. So that is what worries us, and we shall continue to raise the questions because they need to function with much more consensus than is already being seen.
To that, yes. Yes, Ali, respond to that, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just sitting and listening over here. What Mahima ma'am is saying, she has got no authority. Congress has got no authority. They do not represent the Muslims in this country. They have misguided. Me being a Muslim, me working on the JPC, me working on the Waqf Amendment Bill over here, we have got total support of the Muslims. Now, give me 1 second. I didn't speak in between. Now, over here, at the Eidgah Masjid, wherever we had the intels, over there were hardly 2-3 Muslims with a black band in their hand. Majority of Muslims have never benefited from this Waqf property. No money has come in. It has been into a family business. And now, when there is transparency, we have got full faith on the BJP government. Narendra Modi ji's, all the bills brought in favor of Muslims have gone down well. Over here, only you can see only Stalin and Mamata Banerjee opposing. Over here, small rectifications that need to be made have been made. Muslims are on board. And I am telling you over here, Maria, this is a no. This bill is just going to pass the test of the floor. There is no problem. And over here, in 3 days, you will see the Muslims having rallies and thanking this government for passing this bill. 1/3 of the country's land is in the clutches
let's see what Muslims
of
do.
sharks.
Let's not prejudge what their actions would be. Yes, fine. All that I hope, certainly, Mahima, is that Treasury benches and opposition should ensure a discussion on the floor of the House. That there are pros and cons, there are, good side and bad side of this legislation. There are, if the government is saying intention is reforms, the other side is that will it really ensure accountability? These questions are valid questions and which should be addressed. Go ahead, Mahima.
2 points I have to make, Maria. The first one is that we have seen how this government bulldozes bills also over the parliament in the last few sessions when the opposition was actually suspended. Majority of opposition was suspended from the House. And that very position of being the opposition, now I'm coming to my second point, gives us the authority that Mr. BJP spokesperson is questioning.
Let me remind him. Just hold on to your thoughts. We have a JPC member and BJP MP Aprajita Sarangi here with me at Vijay Chowk before she heads to the Parliament for the discussion. Aprajita Sarangi, really appreciate your time. The point being made by the opposition is, and also by some members of the minority community is, that you want non-Muslims to be part of the Waqf board, but when it is about endowments or other boards which are responsible for Hindu properties, they do not have people from outside their community as part of it.
A very good morning. This is a historic day for all of us. The Waqf bill in its modified form after the deliberation by the JPC has been brought to the Lok Sabha, and I'm very confident that there would be very constructive dialogue, debate, deliberation and discussion around the bill today. As far as the numbers are concerned, I can say with conviction that there will be no problem at all. NDA has the numbers both in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Let's not get into the numbers. But as Honorable Minister Parliamentary Affairs, Shri Kiren Rijiju has said, we need proper discussion in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. This is an appeal from the government side. And everybody should support the bill wholeheartedly because this has been brought about by the government with a very noble intention, I would say. And those who are saying that, the non-Muslims have been brought in and we are against Muslims, I think this is absolutely far from the truth. We want inclusivity, and that is why the state Waqf boards will be having 2 non-Muslims minimum. So I think this is something which all of us should accept in the sense that this is a historic step. The efficient management of the Waqf properties around 9.5 lakh spread across the country is the only intention of the government. And that is why, the JPC sat for more than 118 hours and deliberated upon the 44 amendment proposals that had been tabled by the government. And I must tell you, I was part of the JPC and I have seen 284 organizations were also consulted all across the country. Everybody's opinion was given respect. And with regard to these 44 amendments, in respect of 14 amendments, we actually brought in changes to the bill that had been presented to the JPC.
The point being made by opposition here, Ms. Sarangi, is that 25 amendments which have been suggested in the new draft bill are largely of the NDA MPs. And when it comes to the suggestions or recommendations which were made by the opposition, you have completely overlooked those.
I can list out all the amendments that have been brought to the bill by the JPC, and I can say who gave what. I think most of the opposition parties had said that the collector should not be given the responsibility of actually deciding after inquiry as to whether a particular property is Waqf property or not. This was their suggestion, and this has been actually given importance. Now, any officer decided by the government who is above the collector in rank would be actually given the responsibility of, inquiring into the matter and deciding whether a particular property is Waqf property or not. Number one. Number two, in fact, they were very keen that 6 months is a very less amount of time for, creating the database and uploading all the Waqf properties in the portal. And that was also extended. If somebody wants to have more time, beyond 6 months, can always make an appeal to the tribunal. So I can list out, I just gave you 2 examples, and these had come from the opposition.
Ma'am, since you were part of the JPC, there is one, provision in the new draft bill which is contentious and which many are seeing as government not really making its intention clear or making the clause clear. One is, of course, because the new draft bill does away completely with Waqf by user. But it also has this clause whether it will be retrospectively or it is from the date when the bill becomes a law.
Very good question. In fact, the decision that was taken by the JPC and which has been recommended by the JPC is Waqf by user will be prospective. Yes. Okay. So let's be very clear about it. It's prospective. So that also has been incorporated in the bill, which was not there earlier. And this is the suggestion of the opposition parties. Okay. So I think we have given a lot of importance to the views of the opposition parties. The TDP and JDU and Lok Janshakti have also come forward. Fortunately, they are NDA allies, but yes, they had their own concerns. So all concerns of most of the opposition parties have been brought on board.
All right, Prajita Sarangi, really appreciate your time. I know you have to head to the Parliament, so I can't take much of your time. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us. Let's bring in Mahima now. Mahima, I think, as a member of the Joint Parliamentary Committee, Ms. Sarangi did clarify a lot of points. But, when we look at the politics around it, what we certainly expect, and as journalists also, there should be a discussion on this bill. Good, bad, ugly, it has to be discussed. Whether it's reforms or some kind of interference, that's also something which should be discussed.
Jai Hind. Maria, exactly my point. What you just said, there has to be a discussion. I would say that that is exactly the contention here. Why have there not been clause-to-clause discussions in the JPC? That is the question our leaders have been raising from the floor of the House. Now, you see, as I said earlier, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I was hearing the Honourable Member of Parliament very carefully, and you see the worry persists that this is how they are going to intrude into the rest of the minority communities and threaten their interests. And the question also poses us, then are we going to give way to the other religions into the Hindu governing bodies of religion, in the Hindu governing religious bodies also? So you see, it's a very I would say it's a critical conundrum that we must look into. It's become a conundrum rather, I would say. So the government's intent is under the question. It is questionable, and let's see how the government functions today. You are saying we should have a discussion. I doubt, because the Treasury benches have shown us otherwise through and through over these 11 years, and especially over the past couple of years. So we are hoping that they will not bulldoze democracy this time around. We are hoping that they'll conduct themselves in an ethical, in a more robust manner as a parliament, as Treasury benches.
All right, Mahima. Mahima, I really appreciate your time that you joined us this morning. I know you're heading to the court, so thank you so much. We also thank you to Ali and thank you to Aarti Jairath for joining us this morning. In fact, reactions have started coming in from Parliament. Let's listen in to a couple of those reactions. Jagdambika Pal is the chairman of the Joint Parliamentary Committee, which had 31 MPs.
और मैं इतना साफ कहना चाहता हूं कि देश हित में जो बिल ला रहे हैं ये कानून ही नहीं बल्कि पूरा देश समर्थन करेगा। और देश हित में कोई भी काम हो और गरीब मुसलमानों के लिए, महिलाओं के लिए, बच्चों के लिए जो भी जरूरत काम है उससे हम पीछे नहीं हट रहे हैं। और जो लोग विरोध कर रहे हैं वो राजनीतिक कारण से विरोध कर रहे हैं। बाकी तर्क मैं सदन में रखूंगा। और मैं ये भी चाहता हूं कि अगर कोई विरोध करता है तो तर्क पे विरोध करे और एक एक तर्क, एक एक सेक्शन का, एक एक क्लोज का हम जवाब देंगे। क्योंकि जब हम इस तरह का बिल लेके आ रहे हैं, बहुत सोच समझ करके, बहुत तैयारी का साथ हम आए हैं। और सदियों तक लोग याद रखेंगे कि नरेंद्र मोदी जी की सरकार में एक ऐसा बिल लाया है जिसने गरीब जनता का, विशेष करके मुसलमानों में, जो दुनिया में सबसे ज्यादा गरीब मुसलमानों का संख्या हिंदुस्तान में है, उसका चिंता सबको होना चाहिए। और ये चिंता नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने किया है, हमारा सरकार ने किया है। और साथ साथ जो वक्फ बोर्ड ने कई सदियों तक, कई सालों तक जो मिसयूज किया है, अधिकार को गलत तरीके से इस्तेमाल किया है और गरीबों का जायदाद लूटा है, उसमें भी रोकने का काम हम कर रहे हैं। देश हित में है। और हम पुनः सब पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को अपील करते हैं कि देश हित में सब बिल को सपोर्ट करना चाहिए। अगर विरोध करते हैं तो तर्क रख के विरोध करें, ऐसे झूठे बातें करके विरोध ना करें।
Certain organizations, certain political parties are still resorting to fear mongering. All India Muslim Personnel Law Board would be addressing a press conference.
Yes, I am aware of that. Some of the leaders, including some of the religious leaders, are also misguiding the innocent Muslims. Misguidance leads to nowhere. It will be exposed because a year back, same campaign was launched. When the CAA bill was introduced, the same people said that the CAA is to snatch the citizenship status of the Muslims. But it's been now a year. Nothing such has happened. आपने देखा होगा CAA के समय में कहा था ना कि CAA, Citizenship Amendment जो बिल आए थे, कहा कि ये मुसलमानों का जो उसका पहचान है उस पे अटैक किया जा रहा है। मुसलमानों का जो सिटीजनशिप स्टेटस है, नागरिकता है, वो छिन जाएंगे। इस तरह का उन्होंने एक प्रोपेगेंडा किया था, वो तो एक्सपोज हो गया। सीए लागू हो गया। किसी मुसलमान का कोई नागरिकता छीना है क्या? बिल्कुल नहीं है। तो अभी भी ऐसे ही होगा। ये बिल पारित होने के बाद जो लोग इसको विरोध कर रहे हैं वो खुद पछताएंगे।
आपके साथ है?
इसमें पूरा देश साथ में है। कुछ लोग ही विरोध कर रहे हैं, देश साथ में है। काफी कांग्रेस के नेता, काफी अपोजिशन पार्टी भी प्राइवेटली तो कहते ही हैं ये बिल तो जरूरत है। ये तो एक पॉलिटिकल स्टैंड, एक वोट बैंक के लिए वो लोग विरोध कर रहे हैं। बाकी मैं तर्क पार्लियामेंट में रखूंगा।
ये बिल एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का खिलाफ है और ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का ऊपर अटैक है इस बिल। और आज का कांग्रेस का लोकसभा एमपीज का बैठक है, अभी राहुल गांधी जी उस बैठक लेंगे। उसमें कांग्रेस पार्टी का क्या अप्रोच होगी, क्या कांग्रेस स्पीकर्स कौन कौन होंगे, कांग्रेस स्पीकर्स क्या किस मुद्दे के ऊपर बात करना है, इसको सारे का निर्देश देंगे राहुल गांधी जी।